Heartwarming moment. Little girl discovers unexpected daddy in janitor, inspiring all who witness. In the heart of the city, where dreams twist like smoke in the air, the bustling elementary school stood vibrant with life. Kids shouted, parents rushed by, and laughter painted the hallways. But amidst the joyful chaos, 8-year-old Emily felt a heavy cloud hanging over her. As she clutched her backpack, her heart sank. Tomorrow was Dad's Day, a celebration of the men in their lives. But for Emily, it felt more like a looming nightmare. Her mom worked from dawn till dusk, pouring her heart into jobs that barely made ends meet. And then there was Joe, her dad, a janitor at the school. He spent long hours cleaning up after other people's messes. Emily often glanced at her classmates, their fathers in sharp suits, talking about their big jobs as if they were heroes. The weight of embarrassment tightened around her chest. He's just a janitor, she thought, painfully aware of what that made her. As the day approached, Emily withdrew further, refusing to join in on the excitement around her. Her friends buzzed about their dads, their voices a sharp contrast to the quiet shame echoing in her heart. How could she stand in front of everyone with Joe, the one who scrubbed toilets instead of saving lives, catching villains, or building skyscrapers? Then, calamity struck. The event coordinator fell ill, leaving the school in chaos. The panic rippled through the teachers, and just when they were lost for answers, Joe stepped forward. He grabbed a broom, his hands quick and steady. He rallied volunteers, turned the chaos into a plan, and suddenly the schoolyard bustled with activity as kids ran, music played, and laughter inflated the air. Emily's eyes widened. Her dad wasn't just a janitor. He was somehow turning into a leader, a conductor of joy. She watched as he moved decisively, organizing, directing, spreading laughter and smiles, and she felt a spark of something she hadn't expected: pride. Every cheer from her classmates as they pitched in lit up the atmosphere, transforming the narrative around her father's identity. And yet, an unsettling moment clung to the air when some of the kids mocked him. "Look at the janitor," a boy sneered, and suddenly Emily was cast into a storm of confusion. She wanted to shrink back, to hide, but the feel of her heart racing reminded her of the love Joe poured into their family, the sacrifices he made. With the event reaching its exciting peak, Emily stood at a crossroads. Joe was a hero, proving to be just that, but would she find the courage to embrace him as such in front of others? The crowd surrounded them, anticipation buzzing in the air, and her thoughts stumbled over each other. The sound of laughter turned to echoes in her ears, and she felt both fear and fierce love rush through her. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Emily held her breath, her heart racing as she stepped forward. Would she speak up for her father and his quiet strength, or would she let fear and embarrassment win? The crowd was watching, the air thick with tension and hope. A moment of reckoning was dawning, and with it came the chance to redefine everything she thought she knew about family. Their eyes were on her, waiting for her next move. Emily felt time slow as she took that step forward. The chatter dimmed, and the noise of the celebration faded away. All she could hear was the rapid thumping of her heart echoing her own doubts. Joe had spent years proving his worth, but could she do the same in just a moment? Taking a deep breath, Emily opened her mouth, but the words stumbled at first. "He's not just a janitor," she finally said, her voice quivering but clear enough to cut through the tension. "My dad is a hero." The heads in the crowd turned, kids shifting to whisper amongst themselves. Confusion draped people's faces, but Emily pressed on, needing to make them see what she saw. "He cleans this school every day, but he also keeps it beautiful just like he keeps my life beautiful." The tremor in her voice transformed into conviction, fueled by the images of Joe, broom in hand, organizing kids, making them laugh, holding their glances, a calm amidst the early chaos. At that moment, Joe turned, catching her gaze. His brown eyes shone with surprise, and something else, an eagerness born from wanting her to acknowledge him without hesitation. She felt a warmth inside as their eyes locked, a connection deeper than any words could say. Every day, she continued, he sacrifices his time to help people, to make this school and my life better. He isn't ashamed of being a janitor. That's his job, and he does it like no one else could. As she spoke, her classmates' expressions began to change. The skepticism started to fade, replaced by curiosity. Could someone who cleaned up after others really be so important? The boy who had mocked Joe earlier stood quiet now, his shoulders slightly slumped, maybe even a bit regretful. With every word Emily poured out, the collective mindset shifted. Laughter of encouragement flickered through the crowd, turning emblems of judgment into bursts of applause. Kids were echoing her statement of pride, he's a hero. Looking at Joe, she saw the proudest smile break across his face, an expression of pure joy. It was like the sun had emerged after a storm, and in that moment, everything changed. She stepped closer to him, the warmth of family enveloping them both. Dance with me, Dad, she urged, pulling him into the jubilant crowd. Laughter erupted again, this time around them. Kids danced wildly, forgetting judgments and acceptance. Joe bent down, scooping her up. They twirled together, both lost in the magic of the moment, the swirling music and laughter telling a story of transformation. As they spun, Emily glanced around, noticing how the barriers between her and her classmates were dissolving. It was as if Joe's charisma softened the sharp edges of comparison and embarrassment. The cheers grew louder, kids joining in their rhythm, and suddenly, she didn't feel alone anymore. But then, as the celebration bubbled with life, a flicker of doubt crept back into her mind. What would it mean for Joe if this moment faded? If the school year resumed with the same unkind whispers lingering in the corridors? She leaned into Joe, her heart racing again, not just from joy but from uncertainty. Dad, she whispered, what if they forget? The world might forget, Joe replied softly, his arm still holding her as the two of them slowed down. But just remember one thing. What? Her eyes grew wide with curiosity. Heroes don't need a stage. It all begins right here, in our hearts. Before she could respond, the music shifted, and a silence fell over the crowd. Emily turned to find a school administrator stepping to the front, a mic in hand, ready to change the course of the event once more. Would this be a moment of celebration or reflection? The anticipation gripped her. What would they say next? Would it finally change everything? The hush in the crowd thickened, an almost tangible anxiety wrapping around everyone like a blanket. Emily's pulse quickened. She felt the weight of 1,000 curious eyes fixated on her and Joe, the atmosphere shifting from joyous celebration to a heavy uncertainty. The administrator, a stern-looking woman with a sharp bob haircut, cleared her throat, and the microphone squeaked. Thank you all for the wonderful display of enthusiasm. This is an important moment, a moment to recognize the unsung heroes among us. Emily's heart sank. Was this acknowledgement enough? Would it change minds and hearts? Or would the applause fade with the music, becoming just another fleeting memory? The woman glanced at Joe, her expression softening slightly. Today, we want to highlight the contributions of everyone at this school, from our dedicated teachers to our invaluable staff. Joe has been part of our community for over a decade, the crowds murmured. Joe's humble stature stood out against the backdrop of the gym, filled with animated teens. Emily beamed at him, proud for his dedication, but also concerned. Would they truly get it? However, the administrator continued, it's not just about what you do, it's about who you are. And now, we'd like to present a special award. An excited buzz rippled through the students. Emily felt a rush of hope. This was it. This could be the moment they would finally see Joe for all he was. A student representative strode forward, award in hand, grinning wide. This award is given to our most impactful contributor, someone who goes above and beyond, impacting the lives of countless students. The energy was electric. Whispers rippled like waves. Emily could scarcely breathe. It was as if the gym built a collective heart, pounding in synchronization, waiting for the announcement. Joe, please come up. She almost leaped into the air, joy bursting inside her like fireworks. She cheered along with her classmates as Joe's cheeks flushed a bright red. His look of disbelief was a sight Emily would never forget. As he stepped forward, A mixture of pride and uncertainty washed over her. He was finally getting the recognition he deserved. She wanted to scream, "He is more than a janitor." But the crowd was already erupting in applause as he approached the microphone. "Thank you." Joe's voice wavered for a moment, catching everyone's attention. "I'm just doing my job, but it's really all of you who light up this school. You make it special." The students responded with a roar of approval, but Emily noticed hesitation in Joe's eyes as he scanned the crowd searching for something, maybe even someone. In that moment, a darker question crept into her mind. Would this one moment erase the years of unkindness? The applause faded, and the administrator continued, "Your hard work doesn't go unnoticed, Joe. You inspire us all." Hearing him praised felt good, but Emily couldn't shake that nagging doubt. Would their perception of him change, or would they return to their old ways? As the celebration rekindled, with music and laughter swelling again, she saw the boy who had mocked Joe earlier standing at the edge of the crowd, unsure. Could he be changing, too? "Dad," she whispered, inching closer to him. "What if this isn't the end? What if it doesn't last?" "We take it one day at a time," he replied, resting a hand on her shoulder. "Just remember, real change starts inside." Suddenly, an unexpected hush fell again as the principal took a deep breath for her closing remarks. "As we wrap up this celebration, I want to encourage each of you, let this moment be a turning point. Let us recognize our heroes every day." Emily's heart raced. Would they really? Was this celebration just the beginning? Or would they let it slip away like all the moments before? "Dad," I think she hesitated, the uncertainty gnawing at her again. What if it's not enough? Before he could answer, the principal brought down the final note. "Next week, we'll have an assembly focused on community values, celebrating everyone's contribution." Hope flickered, but anxiety lingered. Would they truly celebrate everyone? As the crowd announced their excitement at the upcoming assembly, Emily turned back to Joe, desperately seeking assurance. Would their lives change in the same way she hoped the school would? "Let us make every day count," he replied softly, a glimmer of resolve in his eyes, even after the applause dims. With her heart in battle between worry and hope, Emily gathered all her courage. Was she ready to face whatever came next, to stand by Joe through the uncertainty? In the bright swirl of colors and sounds, she breathed deeply, ready for what awaited them. But the question loomed, would they be strong enough to keep the light shining after the celebration ended? As the evening wore on, Emily found herself lost in thought amid the laughter and chatter surrounding her. The gym, once a cacophony of nervous anticipation, now vibrated with a warm buzz of joy. Joe stood at the center, surrounded by students eager for selfies and high-fives, the award gleaming in his hands like a newfound treasure. Yet, while her classmates danced and celebrated, the nagging doubt began to gnaw at her again. Would the sentiment of the moment truly alter their perception of Joe? What about those who had cast him aside before? Emily shifted her gaze back to the edges of the gym. It was there she noticed the boy who had once taunted Joe, still lurking just outside the circle of joyous chaos. "Hey, I'll be right back," she told her father, feeling an insistent tug on her heart. She wove through the crowd, her resolve strengthening with each step. The boy stood with his shoulders hunched, staring into the joyful scene, yet appearing detached from it. "Hey," Emily called out gently as she approached. He turned, his expression a mix of surprise and embarrassment. "You're not joining the fun?" He shrugged, kicking at an invisible dust mote on the ground. "It's just I don't know. I never thought Joe was, like, a big deal before." Emily felt a warmth bloom in her chest. "But he is a big deal. Have you listened to what he said? He cares about each one of us." She glanced back at Joe, enveloped by the students, his laughter spilling like sunlight. "He is always there, cleaning up our messes, smiling at us even when we're not kind." For a moment, the boy's defenses seemed to waver. She could see he was wrestling with something deep inside. "I guess I just thought he was just a janitor." "Just a janitor?" she repeated, shaking her head. "You don't know how many kids he has helped, how many times he has listened when nobody else would. It's not fair to see him like that." He shifted uncomfortably, but kept eye contact with Emily. "I suppose I never really thought about it like that. Maybe it's time to change how we think," she suggested, her voice resolute. "We can learn from this. We can actually change." The boy looked toward Joe, who stood a few steps away. His eyes widened slightly as he absorbed the scene. "Do you really think people can change?" I believe they can, Emily answered, her heart swelling. It starts with us. At that moment, the boy seemed to understand. Something flickered in his gaze, a glimmer of willingness to embrace a new perspective. They shared a moment of silent agreement before the roar of the celebration pulled them back. I need to go talk to him, he murmured, hesitating only a second before moving into the crowd. Emily watched, a feeling of hope welling inside her. Maybe, just maybe, this was the turning point they all needed. Returning to her father, Emily couldn't contain her smile. For the first time, it felt like change was possible. Joe caught her eye, and she waved. He returned her smile, the appreciation radiating from him. But beneath the surface of excitement, the question still hovered: would these moments of courage and kindness endure the tests of time? Do you feel it? Her father asked, observing the scene with pride. Change is bursting here tonight. Yeah, Emily replied, her heart racing with every passing moment. But it's just the beginning, I assent it. As the music played on and life returned to the celebration, she felt a lingering sense of urgency. How could they ensure this wasn't just a temporary shift? As the crowd began to dance, she stepped closer to Joe, ready to make a plan for what was next. The faint echoes of the gym faded, but her heart was a drum of possibilities. Together, she whispered to herself, watching the celebration unfold, we'll make this last. We have to. Yet, as the night swirled into an exciting haze, a shadow of doubt crept back in. Would they truly keep the momentum, or would this moment fade just like the last? The beat of the music pumped through the air, a heartbeat of joy that wrapped around the gym like a warm blanket. Emily felt it rise within her, that same pulse pushing away the doubt that had lingered at the edges of her thoughts. As people danced, their expressions lit with laughter, she turned back to her father, who held her gaze like a guiding star. Let us go see Joe, she said, her voice firm with purpose. She could feel the energy of the evening shifting, not just for her, but for everyone around. Her dad nodded, a twinkle of pride in his eyes, and together they made their way through the throng. As they neared Joe, Emily noticed the boy who had been hesitant before now at his side, the two sharing an animated conversation. The tension in his posture was gone. Instead, he leaned in, his face alive with curiosity and earnestness. Joe's smile was wide, and Emily could see the easy confidence returning to him as they spoke. Look, she exclaimed, almost unable to contain herself. He is really talking to him. Her father chuckled, walking a little faster, searching for the words to capture the moment. See, change is already happening, he said, pride swelling in his chest. It was happening right before her eyes. As they reached Joe, Emily felt the warmth radiating from him, the light that had drawn so many in. Joe, she called out, and he turned, the joy on his face unmistakable. Emily, he replied, his voice warm as honey. Come join us. The boy looked at her, newfound confidence shimmering in his expression. This is Mike, Joe introduced. He has some great ideas about how we can work together at school. That is awesome, Emily exclaimed, excitement bubbling up inside her. I've been thinking about ways we can make school more welcoming. You know, for everyone. The three of them huddled closer, a vibrant energy swirling as ideas floated between them. Joe shared stories of previous students who had succeeded despite the odds, each account a thread weaving a larger tapestry of hope and community. Emily listened, captivated, her heart swelling with purpose. Everyone has a part to play, Joe said, looking from Emily to Mike, his gaze steady. When we lift each other up, we all rise together. It doesn't take much to make a difference, just kindness and a little courage. Mike nodded, his brow furrowed in deep thought. I think if we started a buddy system, encouraging everyone to befriend at least one person they normally wouldn't, maybe it would bring people together. Emily felt a burst of joy at the concept. Yes, and we could organize events to celebrate diversity, showcase talents. There is so much we can do. As plans began to fall into place, she felt the hesitation in the pit of her stomach begin to fade away. Maybe change wasn't just a flash in the pan. Maybe it could be a lasting ripple. Suddenly, the music shifted, the atmosphere electrifying as the DJ called out to the crowd, urging everyone to come together for a group photo. Joe's face lit up, and he laughed, looking at Emily. How about we capture this moment? A snapshot of our change. With a cheer, the crowd surged towards the stage, arms pumping, feet shuffling in excitement. As they piled in, Emily squeezed Joe's arm. "This is just the beginning, Joe. We're really going to do this." Their groups blended, laughter spilling into the air. But as Emily stood, beaming, a fleeting thought snaked through her mind. What if tomorrow the excitement faded? What if the commitment slipped away when the music stopped? Lost in those swirling emotions, she yelled over the cheers, "We'll keep this momentum going, right?" All around her, voices united as they shouted in affirmation, but deep inside, she wondered if their collective promise would be enough. The laughter and cheers blended into an exhilarating sound, wrapping around Emily like a celebratory hug. In that moment, with her heart racing, she felt the weight of uncertainty lift off her shoulders. This was her chance, their chance. As the crowd squeezed together for the photo, Emily caught glimpses of faces all around her. There were the shy ones, the enthusiastic ones, even those whose expressions held a hint of disbelief. A whirlwind of emotions washed over her. She could just see it, a school filled with acceptance, with students supporting one another. It wasn't just a dream, it was something they could turn into reality. "Say cheese." The DJ's voice boomed, snapping her back to the moment. Everyone shouted in unison, and Emily held her breath, a bright smile plastered on her face. Click! The camera captured the burst of joy, a memory frozen in time. After the photo, a renewed energy pulsed through the group. Emily noticed Mike speaking animatedly with a couple of girls now tugging him into their circle, eager to brainstorm ideas. She turned to Joe. "Can you believe it?" she whispered, her eyes wide with excitement. Joe nodded, his grin reflecting her own disbelief. "You sparked something tonight," he said, and she felt the warmth of his words. "But this is just the start. We have to keep this fire alive." Emily nodded, her determination solidifying. They couldn't stop here. The thrill of the music and the crowd would fade, but their commitment had to remain. "But how?" "Let us meet after school tomorrow," Mike suggested, breaking through her thoughts. "We can start planning a club, somewhere everyone feels comfortable just being themselves." "Yes, a club," Emily echoed, her heart racing at the thought. People could come together, share stories, and feel safe. It had to happen. As the evening unfolded, they all traded ideas, excitement sparking between them like fireworks. Yet even amidst the camaraderie, a sliver of doubt lingered in her mind. How could she ensure they wouldn't evaporate, like fleeting smoke trails in the wind? "Let us set goals and make it official," Joe piped in. "Meetings, events, even a poster campaign. We can show everyone we mean business." All of their faces lit up. Emily's heart soared as they began brainstorming. Each rallying cry, each suggestion felt like a promise to themselves, an assurance that they wouldn't let the moment slip away. However, in the midst of their jubilant chatter, Emily's gaze drifted to the side, where she noticed a figure lurking near the gym's entrance. It was the janitor, a quiet man whose presence was like a shadow in the background. Normally overlooked, tonight he seemed to watch, a faint smile creeping along his lips. Something about him tugged at her heartstrings. Emerging from the crowd, she approached him. "Hey, thank you for keeping the gym so nice for us," she said. His eyes widened with surprise, but then warmth enveloped his expression. "Just doing my job," he replied modestly, but there was a spark of something deeper in his gaze. "I've seen you all striving for a better tomorrow. That's something special. You're making a difference already." Her heart fluttered. "We're hoping to create a club to bring everyone together. Do you think that would help?" The janitor considered her question, the corners of his mouth lifting into a smile. "You don't need me to tell you what to do, but from what I've seen, your energy is contagious. People will follow." Emily felt a swell of emotion at his words. Here, in this small exchange, she saw the potential of their idea reflected in his encouragement. As she returned to her friends, determination solidified within her. They had to go beyond intentions. "Tomorrow," she declared, rejoining her team, "we're going to put together everything we've talked about and reach out to the whole school. We can make this happen." Her declaration rang like a battle cry, and the crowd cheered again, this time with even more conviction. They would not let their desire for change be just a fleeting moment. But as the gym began to clear, leaving only echoes of laughter, a small worry tugged at her heart once more. Would they all truly stand together when the excitement faded? Emily took a deep breath, ready to face the challenge ahead. But the nagging question lingered: what would happen when they did meet again in the light of day? Would they have the courage to follow through? The next day dawned with a sense of anticipation hanging in the air. Emily could hardly keep her mind from racing as she made her way to school. What would today hold? Would her friends rally around their plan? She could almost feel the electricity crackling around them, igniting her hope for a school transformed. As Emily approached the school entrance, she spotted Mike and Joe already waiting for her, enthusiasm radiating from their expressions. "You ready?" Mike beamed, bouncing on the balls of his feet. "More than ready," Emily replied, her heart swelling with excitement. The three of them entered the bustling hallway, the chatter of students mingling with the sounds of lockers slamming and laughter echoing against the walls. But something felt different. A lingering apprehension flickered in the back of her mind. She took a deep breath as they approached their favorite hangout spot, a cozy corner of the cafeteria. They had claimed it as their brainstorming haven, a place where ideas could flow freely. As they took their seats, Emily glanced at the colorful posters hanging around the cafeteria. They were filled with messages about understanding and acceptance, reminders of what their club aimed to promote. "I think we need to make it official today," she suggested, her voice steady but filled with determination. "Let us come up with a name and a mission statement." "Great idea." Joe nodded eagerly. A flicker of anxiety threaded through her thoughts. What if they couldn't find the words? What if no one else cared? But Mike rolled out a piece of paper, and with a deep breath, they began to scribble down ideas. The atmosphere shifted as they discussed options, throwing suggestions back and forth like a lively game of catch. "How about Unity Club?" Mike asked. Emily smiled. "That is perfect. It's simple, and it says exactly what we want." The conversation flowed, energized by their shared vision. Around them, other students began to take an interest, peering over at their hastily scrawled notes, curiosity brightening their faces. "Hey, what are you all up to?" A voice chimed in. It was Sarah, a girl from their English class, and Emily felt her heart leap. If she was curious, maybe others would be too. "We're starting a club to bring everyone together," Emily explained, the words tumbling out in an excited rush. "You should join us." Before long, their small corner gathered more and more students, each bringing their unique perspectives and experiences. As Emily stood in the midst of it all, an overwhelming sense of belonging washed over her. This was it. Each new face represented a step closer to the community they hoped to build. But just as the energy surged, Emily's memory flickered back to the janitor's encouraging words. She wondered again if they could really inspire change. Would they truly be able to maintain this momentum? That moment of doubt gnawed at her as the bell rang, signaling the end of lunch. The group exchanged hopeful glances, and Emily felt her stomach flutter with anxiety. Would they carry this energy into the next meeting? "Let us plan our first event," Joe said, his voice breaking through her spinning thoughts. "We could organize a welcome party for the club." "Absolutely," Emily replied, her spirit lifting at the idea. An event could be a cornerstone, a way to pull in more students who might feel isolated or overlooked, just like they had felt in the past. "But what if only a few show up?" she blurted out, the words slipping through before she could stop them. A hush fell over the group, eyes wide and uncertain. Mike broke the silence. "What if we focused on the few who do show up? If we impact just one person, then it's worth it." His confidence sparked a warm flame within her. Emily smiled at him, embarrassment creeping through her, and felt renewed. The spark of community was already starting to flicker to life. "Yeah, we will impact them. We just have to believe in what we're doing." But deep inside, uncertainty lingered. Emily knew they were standing on the precipice of something big, but the weight of her worries threatened to pull her back. As they gathered their things and headed to class, the essential question clung to her heart. Would they really be able to turn their dreams into reality? Or would the challenges ahead extinguish the flame before it had a chance to burn brightly? The days rolled into one another, each meeting charged with anticipation as the Unity Club began to take shape. Emily felt the pulse of excitement in her veins like the thrum of a new song. Each time they gathered, more students joined their little family, giving Emily a sense of purpose that brightened her days. One afternoon, as the trio put their ideas on paper for the upcoming welcome party, Emily noticed a mix of mess and creativity around her. Notes were plastered on old posters, markers lay scattered across the table, and laughter echoed as stories were shared. A sense of unity was thick in the air, yet doubt still curled in the corners of Emily's mind. Okay, guys, we really need to think about activities for the party, she urged, tapping her pen anxiously against the paper. Games, food, music, what will attract people? We need this to be big. Joe leaned back, a thoughtful expression on his face. What if we had a slam poetry session? Sharing our words could really connect everyone. His eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. That's brilliant, Mike exclaimed. It'll give people a chance to express themselves. We could even have a local artist come in to perform. Emily's heart raced. They were hitting on something special. But, as the energy soared, her concern flickered back into focus. But what about the decorations? We want the place to feel inviting. If we look organized, people will want to join us. Let us have a decorating party before the big day. Sarah chimed in, her spirit infectious. We can make banners, balloons, maybe even tie-dye shirts. A sudden wave of hope washed over Emily. I love that idea. As they jotted down plans, new faces filled the room. Each contribution fueled their fire, and laughter flowed freely. The unfolding community felt like an embrace, one she desperately needed. Yet, just when the warmth wrapped tightly around her heart, a nagging thought whispered to her. What if the welcome party didn't go as planned? What if nobody showed up? The loom of doubt threatened to unravel her newfound joy. Unbeknownst to her, Mike picked up on her struggle. Hey, he said softly, pulling her aside. You're quiet. What's on your mind? What if we fail? What if nobody comes, or they hate it? The vulnerability in her voice chilled her. Mike met her gaze, his expression earnest. What if they do come? What if they share their stories? You're worried about the outcome, but look at what we've built together. Focus on the people, not the numbers. Emily nodded, though unease still clung to her. She wanted to believe in this moment. She longed for the dream to come alive, like a spark bursting into flames. Days blurred until finally, the eagerly awaited Friday arrived. The school felt different, buzzing with anticipation. Emily stood in front of a sea of students as they entered the cafeteria, the atmosphere lit up with hopeful chatter and laughter. She could hardly believe how many turned up. Ready? Mike nudged her gently, holding her hand as if to tether her floating emotions. Yeah, I just hope, she started, and then paused as she caught sight of a familiar face behind the crowd. It was the janitor, Mr. Thompson, holding a large bag of colorful decorations. Their eyes met, and he offered an encouraging smile. Her breath hitched. In that moment, she sensed something quietly profound, somehow reminding her that their effort had already made an impact. As the welcome party began, music played, voices mingled, and Emily felt the warmth of community engulf her. Everything seemed to shimmer with possibility, until she noticed the edge of the cafeteria where a small group lingered in the shadows, hesitant to approach. Would they reach out to the outsiders? Would she have the courage to invite them in? Her heart raced again, excitement battling with anxiety. This was it. The real test had just begun. The wall of doubt loomed large behind her. Emily took a breath, her heart pounding in her chest. All right, here we go. Emily stepped away from the festive chaos, her heart pounding louder than the lively music filling the room. Every beat echoed the unformed questions swirling in her mind. The small group at the cafeteria's edge caught her attention again, their faces uncertain and their bodies tense. They watched the scene unfold, but their hesitation was palpable. Could she really take the leap to pull them into this world she so desperately wanted to share? She squeezed Mike's hand harder, feeling his warmth fuse with her resolve. Let us do this together, he said, reading her expression like an open book. With a deep breath, Emily straightened her posture, channeling every ounce of courage she had. She began to walk toward the group, her steps hesitantly confident. As she approached, she could see the anxiety etched on their faces, all too familiar from her own internal battles. Hey there, she called out, her voice carrying over the upbeat music. Why don't you join us? The group of three shared glances, uncertain but intrigued. A girl with bright purple hair stepped forward. We didn't want to interrupt, she said softly. We thought it might be too loud. Emily smiled, her heart swelling with empathy. You won't interrupt at all. This is about bringing everyone together. It's not a party without you. She gestured back toward the bustling crowd, and behind her, laughter spilled like a warm hug filling the air. The girl looked at her friends, who exchanged uncertain glances before nodding slowly. Tension eased just a little. "Come on." Mike joined Emily, lifting his hand and beckoning them over. "There's food and games. You might even find some new friends." Just as they started to step forward, a voice rose from behind Emily. "Dude, I can't believe you all just stood there. We thought you'd come say hi." It was Joe, bounding over with unabashed enthusiasm, inviting the newcomers in like he'd known them for ages. Emily watched as the shyness dissolved from their faces. They hesitantly moved toward the others, and one by one, the introductions began. That first step over felt monumental, as if it carried the weight of all the fears that had bound them before. As the crowd shifted and mingled, Emily felt a rush of warmth spread through her. Right before her eyes, barriers were breaking. Voices mingled, laughter erupted, and one by one, unfamiliar faces became familiar. It was everything she imagined and more. A sense of unity blossomed. Then, just as her heart was lightening, she spotted Mr. Thompson again. He wasn't just observing. He was partaking, helping students tie colorful balloons to tables, his smile infectious and welcoming. It struck her how he was a bridge between generations, crafting connections every day without acknowledgement. "Hey, Mr. Thompson," she called, motioning for him to join the growing crowd. He paused, looking surprised but pleased. "Oh, no, I'm just here to help," he said, but Emily could see the warmth in his eyes. "No, you're part of this too," she insisted. "Our community wouldn't be the same without you." He smiled, his cheeks reddening slightly as he stepped forward. It was a small moment, but it deepened the bond within the room. This wasn't just a party. It felt like a revolution of connection. As the celebrations continued, Emily's earlier worries began to slip away. Joy flooded the space, shadowing the doubts that once loomed over her. Everyone was participating, sharing laughs, and most importantly, sharing stories. Yet, amid all this happiness, Emily felt her phone buzz in her pocket, pulling her attention. She pulled it out, and a message flashed on the screen. "Don't forget about our plans for tomorrow." It was from her older brother, suggesting a day of hiking. Her heart sank slightly. Could she balance everything? Just as uncertainty threatened to rise again, she looked around. The laughter, the connection, the warmth it all radiated back to her, filling her with resolve. "Maybe I can do both," she thought. With a determined breath, she tucked her phone back, turning her focus back on the party. But even with the joy radiating around her, one question lingered. What if tomorrow would challenge that delicate balance she had finally begun to build? As the party buzzed into full swing, each laugh and cheer echoed against the walls of the cafeteria, carrying the promise of lasting change. Emily felt the warmth of connection throughout her body, an exhilarating wave that washed over her worries and fears. But deep down, a whisper nagged at her. Balancing school, her unity club, and family time, could she really manage it all? "Just take one day at a time," a voice echoed in her mind, and she knew it belonged to Joe. The wisdom wrapped around her like a comforting blanket, reminding her of how far they had come. "Emily, come help us with the decorations," Sarah shouted, snapping her from her thoughts. She turned to see Sarah holding a string of multicolored lights, beaming with excitement. "We're going to add some sparkle to this place." Emily rushed over, her heart pounding with joy. The flickers of lights reminded her of the connections being made around them, bright, warm, and encouraging. As they draped the lights across tables, she felt invigorated. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again, but this time, she ignored it. She was in the moment, embracing the laughter and camaraderie blossoming around her. Students from all walks of life mingled, sharing stories, drawing them together in an unexpected tapestry of friendship. Every shared memory acted like glue, strengthening bonds she had only hoped to forge. After helping set up the decorations, Emily paused to survey the scene. She saw the kids from the sharp edges of social groups now blending, laughing, and finding common ground. The boy who had once sneered at Joe now stood laughing with Mike. She caught sight of Joe, still engaged in the festivities, making the newcomers feel welcome. It struck her he was a true hero, not because of his job title, but because of his infectious spirit. He brought people together, inspiring courage in those around him. As Emily joined the growing group of students in a game, her laughter echoed in the room, filling her with purpose. Each passing moment solidified the importance of connection in their school. A notion sparked. What if we make this a monthly event? A way to keep bringing everyone together? Great idea, Mike shouted, drawing attention to her. The crowd cheered, enthusiasm growing. Emily's heart raced with excitement. They could maintain this energy, keep the light shining at wouldn't be a fleeting moment. The energy in the room surged as students cheered and clapped, ready for whatever came next. As the music faded and a gentle hush fell, Emily took a breath. As we grow together, let us not forget what unites us. It's not just today, it's about showing up for one another every single day. With a smile, she caught Joe's eye, warmth blossoming between them, and in return, he nodded in proud agreement. The announcement about their next gathering landed like applause in the air, and the vibrancy around her surged once more. They exchanged suggestions for the next event, each idea blossoming into another, a whirlwind of creativity shaping the fabric of their new community. Just then, Emily caught the flicker of the janitor again, this time speaking with a few students near the entrance. She felt compelled to approach him. "Mr. Thompson, thank you for being so supportive today," she said, genuine appreciation in her voice. He smiled softly. "I'm just glad to help. You've turned this place into something special. Keep pushing for what matters, Emily. You've got it in you." His words ignited a fire within her. She was determined to make this transformation last. They weren't just talking about change, they were living it. As the evening rolled on, Emily soaked in every moment, every laugh, every cheer, and felt her heart widen, not just for the joy they were creating, but for the friendships reshaping them all. When the light began to dim, signaling the end of the event, a sense of bittersweetness tugged at her. But Joe approached, his eyes lit with pride. "You did it, Emily. You brought everyone together. Remember this feeling, it can carry you through anything." She nodded, a surge of resolve swimming in her chest. They would make it last, not just for that night, but for every day to come. Challenges would arise, but together, they would face them. As she glanced out at the remnants of smiles, the distant chatter still lingering in the air, a serene sensation washed over her. Change was not a moment that would pass. It was a journey, one that they would continue to co-create together. Her glance shifted back to her phone. Tomorrow would come, bringing a chance to balance everything. She realized all that mattered was showing up. Emily took a deep breath, ready to step into whatever the world threw at her next. They had forged a new legacy that day, one anchored in hope and connection. With Joe beside her and her community around her, she felt invincible. "We can do this, one day at a time," Emily whispered to herself, a smile dawning across her face. And just then, a cheerful cheer erupted from the crowd, echoing her thoughts and anchoring the spirit of unity they had created together. As the last lights flickered and the music slowed to a gentle hum, Emily's heart surged with anticipation. She was ready for the adventure ahead. And for her, the journey wouldn't just be about change. It would be a celebration of family, connection, and the unwavering courage that thrived in the heart of their school community. You need to subscribe now to catch the next exclusive story and witness more incredible transformations like Emily's. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm and ensure we spread these uplifting tales far and wide. Comment below your reactions and what you learned from this amazing ending. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation and be part of a brighter tomorrow together.